No, that,
But it's approving the form of it.
that's fine.
How's your summer going?
Hello, Jeremy. We're glad you could make it.
We're glad, we were gonna hold up the meeting.
Good.
It was, we had a vote, it was kind of,
Next
It was
next
close.
Tuesday, we're gonna head out, go to Mississippi alone. For almost 3 weeks. We'll come back, be there for about a week, then we're gonna head out to Iowa.
is Joe coming?
No, he got held up at.
Friends out there.
I thought, I
He's
didn't
stuck on
think-
15
and,
North somewhere.
He's camped for about a week and go to the.
Well, let us call this meeting of the Warsaw Redevelopment
Commission.
to start off the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for all being here. Make a note that Joe Palmer is not here today. He has an excused absence. And we'll start off with the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Assume you men have looked those over. Since Whitney was out of town, we might want to scour them and make sure they were done and proper.
Did you have to keep the minutes?
I know. And so if you were expecting me to have done that.
No, I was looking at George.
I'd make a motion to approve. I looked them over and didn't see anything.
I'll second that.
Yeah, okay, we have a motion and a second, thank you, Bill and Mike. And all in favor of approving the minutes as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, it looks like everybody. Now, moving on to new business. Jeremy, you have that resolution?
Yeah, so the first resolution is approving the economic development plan to establish a new allocation area. And this would be associated with two things. One is the AutoCam property, as well as the remaining property that's not developed within the tech park. So what does that mean? So right now, both properties are in the Northern TIF district. All we're doing is resetting the time frame on that as we start this AutoCam project. So that time clock will start anew on that property and then the remaining property that's within the tech park.
By resetting it, then we, in effect, we're extending it? Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so right now it's undeveloped property. It was brought in 2013, I think, around 2013, 2014. By doing this, it'll start that clock. As AutoCam starts construction, it'll start that clock, 25-year clock, based on its construction.
And 70 million in building and equipment is what they're,
Yes.
that's what there is.
So it resets the clock for us to capture the,
Increment that'll be generated by this development, yes.
Okay. Just so the public can.
Just specific to this, like, we have the northern TIF area, a lot of it's going to expire. This section was brought in 2013, 2014. So it had its own lifespan. The section that's already been developed, we're not resetting, because
Okay.
we're already collecting increment
Where
off
Banner
the
is,
first
or-
3 shell buildings we built.
Okay.
This section, because 12 years have elapsed, it's in our best interest to reset the base on this
Okay.
and collect as we move forward.
And then, Jeremy, what does that do with the, because they're buying for lack of a better term, a lot and a half. So it leaves us another lot and a half over there.
Yes.
Okay, so will that second lot and a half fall into this same time frame?
Yes, I'm resetting the base for the remainder of the tech park that is not developed.
Okay.
I wanted to do that now, rather than, I mean, it just made sense to do it all
Okay.
rather than just this lot and have, so.
Yeah. And I just-
Ideally, if we develop the rest of it in the next, or we have some other developments that occur in the next 5 to 6 years, there wouldn't be any reason for us to individually reset each base, which is not what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
But I did want to reset the tech park section that we haven't really had any development in. This will be the first kind of development in this section, outside of Greenmark. And Greenmark is not part of the reset, it already exists, so it'll just be where the new AutoCam development, next to it, and then north of it,
Okay. On the other side of the road.
on the other side of the
Or
road, Polk Drive, yeah.
I got it.
Any other questions about the resolution?
Hearing none, I'll make a motion that we accept Resolution 2025-0701.
Okay, Mike's made a motion to approve.
Second.
Jack has seconded. So we have
You
a
good?
motion.
Any questions?
So, all in favor of approving the resolution as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. So all ayes, so. Resolution is approved. And next resolution goes along.
Yes, still associated with AutoCam, so this resolution is the final disposition of the property related to the AutoCam medical project. You see what they're doing in terms of the $70 million investment, 100,000 square foot building, approximately 300 employees. We did the advertisement, or we did the first resolution at the last Redevelopment Commission meeting. We did the advertisement. No bids were received, which then allows us to dispose of the property to AutoCam.
Anybody have any questions about the property transfer disposition?
I move we accept Resolution 2025-0702.
Okay, Jack has made a motion to approve this resolution.
Second.
Okay, and Bill's second. So we have a first and a second. All in favor of saying aye, signify by, or say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So it is approved, once again, unanimous.
Jeremy, question on the very end of page A1. You got a black round square, rounded corner square. That's not a legal
No.
bound, it's just kind of a target area? Is that what that just?
Yeah, so
Okay.
the disposition process, we've been through it a few times, but, so the first thing you have to do is go through the process of disposing property. It's not necessarily to an individual, right? So although we're disposing the property for the AutoCam, at this point, it's not a closing. We haven't officially disposed the property to them. What we've done is gone through the property that allows us to dispose of property.
Mm-hmm.
So that part of it is done. We still have to have a purchase agreement and closing and all that, which we will do. At the same time, we are in the process of doing the plat, so there will be a legal description that shows that 15 acres and a new lot created that will go before the Plan Commission at its next Plan Commission meeting. And then that'll get final and recorded, which then will allow us to officially enter into a purchase agreement, disposal, and a closing with AutoCam. So a lot of different steps. This is just kind of the legalese in terms of allowing us to dispose of property, because there's, depending on how you dispose of property, there's certain legal regulations you have to go through. we've completed that legal process, so now we can dispose of property. This in and of itself does not dispose of the property to AutoCam. It just now allows us to dispose of that property. And we did that not only for the acreage we're going to dispose of to AutoCam, but we did that for the remaining property in that tech park so that the next person coming in, I don't have to keep going through this process.
Smart.
So we can dispose of in a contract the next time. We don't have to go through this legal process every time we
I
want to
wasn't aware
dispose
of that.
of them.
That's good. Are those properties indicated in the orange?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
So the next resolution, 2025-0703, is approving the form of economic development agreement between Warsaw Redevelopment Commission and AutoCam Medical Devices. So you have the resolution, and then you have the form of the development agreement that's attached. A couple of things I want to, that weren't on the original one as we kind of finalize this. There's a couple of dates that I want to go over. So obviously, the first blank date would be today's date, entering into this agreement. The second blank date in 3.02 would be August 7, 2035. The third blank in section 402, sale of property in this terms of agreement is September 7th, 2025. So we will close prior to September 7th, 2025 of this year. And then they have an option for the remaining acreage that's in section 403 would be August 7th, 2040. And
So they have an option to acquire between now and 2040.
yeah, it's kind of a right of first refusal, but yes.
That's just what I was gonna say.
And then, so the second section, as you flip the page, there's a couple of other requirements. So if they were to option that or take that right of first refusal, they would have to build a minimum of another 150,000 square foot building and a minimum of 250 permanent jobs. So
So that's to prevent them from just buying the property
Yes.
and sitting on it.
yes,
They
so
would have
if,
to, okay.
yes, if they option or take that option, they have to build another 150,000 square foot and employ another 250 people.
Within how much time?
Well, they have till 2040, but really, that's going to be wholly dependent on whether or not someone else comes to the table.
Right. Which wouldn't surprise me if somebody else did.
It wouldn't surprise me either.
And of course, as always, we can always assume that this resolution and any agreements are drawn up by the law firm that we're in.
Yes, Thomas completed all these forms. And I've been working with AutoCam to fill in the blanks. So they sent me the blanks this morning. We went back and forth a little bit on the square footage and the jobs for the right of refusal. And that's where we settled. So if there's any questions or concerns, certainly we could discuss that now, but I feel pretty comfortable with what's in the development agreement.
Does anybody have any questions or concerns for Jeremy?
I just want to hear one more time. If somebody does come along 2 years from now, says, we want that property, and they make us an offer,
Mm-hmm.
a good offer, a reasonable offer, AutoCam would have to come
Back.
back with a better offer?
They would have to come back with a minimum of, we're going to build another 150,000 square feet
Uh-huh.
and employ another 250 people.
Okay,
So that would mean they would have 250,000 square feet out there and 550 employees.
okay. Within a certain time frame?
Yes.
What is the time frame?
The time frame is not specifically discussed in here, outside of they have until 2040 with the right of first refusal, so,
But wouldn't we want them to commit to a time frame? We don't wanna wait till 2040 to get those new jobs. We want those jobs, if somebody else is willing to come in and build and hire
Yeah, so-
within 3 years.
and it is written in here, I have to go, so right of first shall be, solely the company agrees to undertake the following for private non-profit. Company shall have a period of 30 days from the receipt of the third-party offer to notify the Redevelopment Commission in writing intent to execute its right of first refusal. The company notifies the Redevelopment. Company shall have a period of 60 days from the date of such notice to enter into an amendment and Redevelopment Commission pursue. So once they've exercised that, we would enter into an agreement on what that time frame would be.
You don't think it's prudent to put something in?
It would be hard to put something in at this point, because we wouldn't know what that date or time frame is. I mean, it could be 3 years, could be 5 years.
Okay.
I
That's
see,
a good question, though, but probably,
What do
they
you
probably
think, Mr.
wouldn't
Banker?
exercise their right of first refusal. And
I see the purchase
Pay them.
price for the option would be fair market value, right?
Yes.
So scenario could be somebody comes in really, really wants it and they're willing to pay more than fair market, but these guys would have first shot at it at fair market.
Yes.
So we could end up taking less than what somebody, I mean, it could happen.
Yes.
Probably not,
No.
but could.
Well, if somebody made us an offer, they'd have to come,
They would have to
Auditor
match
would
that
have to
offer.
either best that offer or back out.
Yeah. And build 150,000 square foot and add 250 jobs.
But the timeline is what,
The timeline
bit concerns me.
would be negotiated when they would offer that option. Okay, they would have to do it. We could say you would have to do it you'd have to start construction within 6 months.
okay. As long as we can maintain some kind of control
Yes.
instead of just having them buy and sit.
Yeah, as part of this agreement, we would have to enter into that agreement. So if they were to say, we want to exercise this, they already know what the parameters are, which is they have to build at least 150 and have 250 jobs. But part of us entering into that right of first refusal would be setting the requirements in terms of the date.
Okay.
So yes, it wouldn't be just oh yeah, we'll build it sometime, someplace. No, it would have to be within a certain time frame.
All right. And I'm thinking, we may not be around.
We're definitely
Something
not
like
going to be
that.
around.
So does that need to be in writing, or does that? Well, it could happen in 2
It
years.
is in writing.
You might be.
Yeah, well, it
Okay,
says,
speak for yourself.
we have to give them notice, and then they have 30 days from the receipt of the third-party offer to notify the redevelopment commission in writing if it intends to exercise.
Yeah.
So if they don't do something in 30 days, they're out.
They're out.
So the other one can move in. So that's, I think, is what you're asking.
Okay, yeah.
Because it says in here, they have 30 days once we tell them
Yes.
they have an offer.
Okay.
So they
So
have.
they can't sit on it for a year or two and maybe we lose the other offer. They have to respond in 30 days, and then they have, it says, have a period of 60 days from the date of such notice to enter in an amendment, I should say. So they have to do something within 30 days, one way or another, if we got a better offer. Or,
Of which they would have to enter into a qualifying project, so.
Right.
So that's what, so it's in there.
Yes.
But it doesn't set a specific time frame because that's the 30 and 60 days. They have 30 days to say we want to do something. They have 60 days for us to enter into an agreement with them. And that's what'll set the parameters of that agreement.
Okay.
The minimum at this point is they have to, at a minimum, build 150,000 square feet and 250 new jobs.
So that would be the negotiating starting point on that
Yes.
amendment.
Yeah.
So last question from me. If party A comes in and says, we want that, AutoCam says, we'll meet that price within 30 days. Party A says, well, we're going to up our bid. does that start the process over again? Can there end up being a bidding war where we really want that property, we're gonna give you our first offer plus another $250,000? Do they have another 30 days to accept or reject?
No, I think it would be whatever the offer is. They have the right of first refusal, so they would, basically, if they say we're gonna do it and they meet the parameters and provide the project, we would have to give them that, for that price, with that project.
If we accept it, right, as a
Yes.
legitimate offer, then
Yeah.
that, there's no going back and forth.
Yeah, it's not renegotiating it.
But we would, yeah, we wouldn't, unless we had a legitimate offer, you wouldn't go to them and say, hey, we're.
No, I
at this
wouldn't.
point. Yeah. so-
No.
Tell them to aim high. You got one shot at this.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. Any other questions? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
Well, you answer all my questions, I'll make a motion that we approve 2025-07.
All right, that's fitting. Mike has made a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
Second.
All right, Bill, second.
I like it when the banker backs me up.
That's right. So we have a first and a second. All in favor of approving the resolution as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. It's approved. And next, the budgets.
Yeah, so you were given drafts of the budget at the last meeting we had. So these are the final budgets being presented to you for your approval today. I can go through each one of them if you would like.
It's only the first two pages, everything else went clockwise.
For the most
So you
part,
reverse that.
I think there was only one change, and that was to the redevelopment general budget. And so that basically reflects some adjustments to the wages and benefits as set by the wage committee. So those are reflected in there. And then I did cut some money out of infrastructure projects, trying to reduce next year's budget, given some of the hurdles we have to face with Senate Bill 1 and trying to prepare for how we address Senate Bill 1 in the future in terms of what it may or may not do to our revenue. But so from the last meeting, the only real difference was to the redevelopment general, and I did cut money out of infrastructure projects, reduce that down to 150,000. I think I had 200 or 250 in there. And then there's a little bit increase to the wages and benefits as provided by the wage committee. So for 2026, you got a total budget of $293,730, which is just a little over $1,000 more than 2025's budget.
That's great.
$150,000 in infrastructure projects is probably the big takeaway, and $50,000 in professional services. The wages and benefits went up a couple thousand to cover what was proposed by the wage committee. Traveling, printing, bonds all stay the same. The bonds are the $100 bonds for each board member every year. That does not change. So a little bit of increase from last year's for the redevelopment general. Is there any questions on that budget? I'm assuming you just want to approve these in totality when we're done, or we can take them individually. It's up to you guys how you want to do it.
All at once.
All
All at once.
yeah. And we've had them for weeks to look at them if we have got a question answered the other day.
Okay.
But if you have a new one, if you want to question anything, like,
Yeah, don't hesitate to stop me in between. So that was redevelopment general. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them now. We can go on, and then we can answer at the end. Redevelopment Northern TIF is probably our largest TIF budget, obviously. So for 2026, we got a total funds of around 9.9 million. Once again, salaries do come out of here, so they did probably change a little bit from the last time I presented them to you, just as that wage committee made changes. All of the bond issues come out of here, so on top of the $600,000 that we pledged towards the sewage bond, you have the Winona PVD 1, 2, and 3 bonds, Thompson and Thrift, which is a Coles bond, and the airport industrial park, which was the sewer expansion for the airport industrial park bond, the Buffalo Street, which is a reconstruction of Buffalo Street and the plaza down there. And then for next year, we have $600,000 in professional services, $5,000 in property acquisition, and $4 million in infrastructure projects. Total budget for 2026 would be a little over $6.4 million. Projects for next year, we have Anchorage Road goes to bid later this year. So some of that money's in there. Millworks, we have $1 million that we owe as part of our agreement for Millworks. We have the roundabout that's under design at Anchorage Road, and we have the airport park. So those are all the projects we're looking at, and as each project kind of comes to light and as we get closer to due, we'll pull the trigger on those projects depending on their timing. So that's what that $4 million will potentially go for next year. Anchorage Road being number one. I'm hoping that we'll cover most of that this year, but any cost overruns that we could encounter during construction, we'll have money in there to cover that. Second would be Millworks project, and then the roundabout at 200 North and Husky Trail, and then the airport park. So those are the projects we're planning for next year. Next one, Warsaw Technology Park. This is purely just money in, money out. So we get revenue in from the tech park, capped at the $5 million, and we are getting. I think we have this year, next year. I think we're going to be very close. There might be some additional in 2027, but it'll be very small increment before we hit our $5 million cap. So for 2026, we've got a budget around $650,000, $50,000 in property acquisition and professional services, and $550,000 in capital outlays. All of these funds have been pledged towards we're calling the ORC, which is the Orthopedic Innovation Research Center. So that's what we're using that revenue towards, would be that Orthopedic Innovation Research Center.
Which will be located,
Where Warsaw Chemical's at.
thank you,
Yes.
wanted people to know.
Redevelopment TIF Winona Interurban. This generates the least amount of funds in our various TIF districts. We're hoping to change that, obviously, and it has seen some change, and we'll continue to see some change. But so for 2026, we got a total budget of $75,000, and I've just split those $30,000 into professional services and $45,000 into capital outlays. We can transfer to and from them depending on what needs are within that area. Obviously, this could go towards Warsaw Chemical Project, could go for any additional needs at Gackey, Marketplace, Argonne Road. So any of those potential projects for 2026, funds from this budget can go towards. Marketplace TIF is purely the bond issue, so it's money in, money out. So as they pay taxes, we pay out taxes. So for 2026, it would be the $152,272 would be the budget. They pay in, and then we disperse that towards the bond payment. Northern Residential TIF. So we're starting to see some movement here. As we continue to grow out that direction. So for next year, we've got a $733,000 budget. $45,000 in professional services, $600,000 in capital outlays, and $88,000 in our first bond payment. And I don't know if I attached the bond payment to this or not. No, so the bond payment was through the IFA that we did for Bella Augusta, the fifth phase of Bella Augusta. So that'll be the first bond payment for that project in 2026. Total budget of $733,000. $600,000 will go for capital projects associated with the two other subdivisions that are out there that we're working on. It could be Alta Vista, or it could be to the west of Bella Augusta, depending on which project moves forward. Southern Residential TIF, we have a proposed budget of $400,000 next year, $100,000 in engineering, $300,000 in capital outlays. Right now, we've got a couple of projects we're working on associated with Park Ridge. So the part of our agreement was to connect Park Ridge. So depending on when that goes, there's a section of road we will reconstruct as it connects to 200 South.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other project, I'm meeting with the school, I think this week. I'm looking at doing some preliminary engineering on a trail or connection from Park Ridge down to Eisenhower and a crossing into Eisenhower. I don't know what that looks like. That's what the study is going to explore. But I would like to get that going this year, and then we might be able to focus next year on what that is and how we start taking shape, whether it's property right-of-way acquisition, and so forth. But we'll be starting, I'm hoping to start that this fall so that we would have some more discussions in the spring of next year, what that could look like.
Would that include a way to get across the road or over
Yes,
the road? Or
yes, so I'm not saying what that is,
Yeah.
because I'm gonna let the engineers propose
That is one
ideas.
busy road.
It is one busy road, so it's going to be controlled in some way. So it could be a hawk system, but we'll have conversations with the school. I want them to be on board with whatever we come up with, so that they know that it's safe. They feel that it's safe. But it will permit walkability from Park Ridge, Eagle Crest, and those subdivisions, so that Pheasant Ridge, all of the above. So it'll connect all of them to Eisenhower.
Do you know, just off the top of your head, how many homes would all that, several hundred,
Yeah, three plus hundred at least.
a lot of kids.
A lot of kids, yeah.
And growing.
Yes, yeah, I mean, Park
Yeah.
Ridge is a couple hundred, Pheasant Ridge is probably well over 100. Eisenhower, which sits off, I mean, all of it will be able to connect through the sidewalk system
That'd
to
be great.
Granite Ridge is kind of connected. as
Granite
well.
Ridge, yeah, down to
Yeah.
Eagle Crest. So the study will be pretty expansive. Now, I don't have money to do everything, but we can start to do
Start.
pieces of it as we go. And some of that may just be land acquisition. At the same time, we'll be talking to our departments about what other improvements need to be made down there. So we may be able to pair this money with some other funds. If there's road improvements that need to be made, if there's storm improvements that need to be made, or sewer improvements, we can pair our different projects together so that we do it as a whole, so we're not piecemealing it. But the first step is getting some engineering to understand how do we make those connections, how do we get a safe crossing into the school that everybody feels comfortable will work.
And now's the time before even more homes are built.
Yes, yeah. So very high on my priority for that Southern Residential TIF next year. Well, that's all of them, but I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
All right. Any questions for Jeremy about the budgets?
I'll make a motion that we approve the budget as presented by Jeremy.
So Mike's made a motion to approve all the budgets, correct?
Yep,
Yeah,
all of
to
them.
go. Okay.
Second.
All right, and Jack has seconded that. Thank you, men. So I will call for a vote. All in favor of approving the budgets as presented, signify by saying aye.
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 All right. Thank you, Jeremy. I know it's a lot of work putting that stuff together.
So we have a few claims. The first three are all marsh-related, Indian American Water and NIPSCO. The second one, UPS 5511, is for the bond documents for the street facility bond, street department facility bond. Milestone Contractors LLP, this was $19,019.34 was for the final Center Lake Pier demolition invoice. Redevelopment Association of Indiana, that's my dues to the RAI Association membership, $125. Barnes and Thornburg, $4,229 for legal services for Marsh, AutoCam, and the Marketplace. Engineering Resources, $3,000 is for County Road 200 North right-of-way turn lane, and the 1,000 is also, so there's two invoices for them for the turn lane work that we're doing as part of the 200 North Parkview project. $25 recording fee and $10 recording fee is for recording right-of-way for the 300 North project. So that right-of-way has been recorded. KDI is a $300 agreement with Peak Med for office space at Kosciuszko Economic Development's office. And then the final one is $42,000 for the monthly lease payment for the Shell building.
Any questions about the claims in front of you?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, Bill has made a motion to approve the claims as presented.
Second.
Mike has seconded that. Thank you. I'll call for a vote then. All in favor of approving the claims signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're gonna have another meeting this one?
Probably. There's a couple of other things that I have in the works that we're trying to get done, including the two purchase agreements, one for the marsh and the other one for the outlot. At the same time we're doing the tech park, we're doing the plat for the marsh properties. We'll create the additional outlot. So I'm hoping in another week or so we'll have that process that we can keep moving forward on. So.
Any other questions or comments from Jeremy? We have the mayor here if we want to.
Pick on him.
Pick on him. We need encouragement.
Yeah, Gacky's going well. If you haven't driven by there, it's,
Yeah, the third story's on
yeah.
Yeah,
by today. One more to go.
I was pointing that out. I had a special guest at my house yesterday. I'm not going to say it out loud, but Jeff knows. But I was pointing out the cranes, and I took the guy on a boat ride and was showing him the construction and also pointing out what used to be the mill knot building, and he was very fascinated by all of it.
Good.
So,
Yeah, a lot of projects.
yeah, it's exciting to see from the lake.
Yeah.
That's a big, long building. Didn't realize it was gonna be quite that big. It's big.
Yeah, it really changes the view down that road.
It does. You're almost,
The other day I was like, oh, I'm gonna go drive by and see where they're at, and I turned down the road and I was,
yeah.
all those years looking down that road at Gacky, all you ever saw was a dull, half dilapidated steel roof, so, yeah, I think the new The new view will be much better.
Yeah.
Jeremy, well, before we break up, can you give me just an overview? What's the timeline on the Warsaw Chemical? When's that move gonna happen?
So they had 18 months from like October.
Don't look at me.
I think it was October when we entered into that
Was it?
agreement.
Okay.
The purchase agreement was October, November, somewhere around there. So 18 months from that time frame. So come October or November of this year, it'll be 12, and then so 6 months after that. So
They
Halfway
have to
through
be
it.
out of there.
halfway through it. Yes.
About halfway.
Well-
They're 9 months into it, so.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, they don't have to be out of there if they want to pay me rent. I'm pretty sure that.
You did, you know.
Yes, pay the redevelopment commission rent, us rent.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
So
it's-
I'm guessing they'll be out of there.
Because there's still a lot of trucks going in and out of there.
Yeah, so they were buying new equipment, outfitting the new site and all that, so that,
So they're up north getting
Yeah.
prepped?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, and
I
I'm-
don't get up that.
I don't know how long it takes for the equipment they purchased to be manufactured, so I mean, like everything else, they gotta wait till that equipment comes in, then they have to install that equipment. I'm sure Jack knows this all too well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, they've got their work cut out for them, but ideally, they'll want to be out in 18 months, because at that point, they'll be paying us rent if they are not.
Okay.
Which means they're paying on, yeah, both.
Both, which they don't want to do.
Well, they're probably pretty excited to get up north there where they
Yeah.
can be a little more efficient at what they're doing. And
Oh, goodness,
Yeah,
yes.
that'd be nice. It's a win.
be a lot more efficient, I should say.
Yep.
That'll be good for their business, good for Warsaw.
Yep.
A lot of good things going on.
Yeah, a lot of
A
good
lot of
things.
exciting things.
Well, anything else?
If not, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right. thank you.
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. This meeting's.
One of these days, I'm gonna vote no.
Yeah. We don't want to quit. We don't want to.
We love